Hey, Rakim.
Hey, hey,
So I'm really happy to have you here with me in Toronto, recording this podcast on video together for the first time.
it's good to be here.
Yeah. So okay, this whole episode is going to be about men. Well, most of it.
Okay,
80% will be about men. The last 20% will be about women.
okay.
And so this question came to me last night as we were in bed together. And I was telling you, like, I feel like a lot of men are really violent with their penis. Like when they're masturbating or when they're having a woman perform a penis massage or a hand job on them, they're doing
hmm
this friction thing, and like it's not even necessary. And so my question to you is, why are men so violent with their penis?
Well, I think men are violent in general. So, when a man engages with a woman or himself or anybody, he's going to tend to be more on the violent side. So that includes, when he masturbates. So I think it's just kind of how men are. I think men historically are counting on women to bring more of the softness
Mhm.
to sex and stuff like that. And so I think that's pretty much where it comes from. And then you have, porn,
Mhm.
which is the dominant form of sexual entertainment.
Mhm.
And porn has to be, theatrical,
Mhm.
and extreme. And so there's a lot of that jerking and extreme
Mhm.
movement to keep people entertained and watching the screen. And so I think that women think that that's what men like, that they like the jerking and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I think in addition to that, a lot of men do masturbate.
Yeah.
And so it makes them desensitized. Their penis is desensitized.
Yeah.
And so they do need more friction just to kind of like feel.
Mhm.
And so I think that also plays a part in it.
Mhm.
So I think it's a combination of those things
Yeah.
that really is the cause.
I just find it sad because when we're together, we don't do that stuff. We don't do friction. Like if I'm touching your penis, I'm touching your penis very, very gently and very lovingly, and I'm sending energy into your penis. And I've talked about this on one of my previous reels about sending energy into a man's penis. And a lot of men on my page, they were laughing at me because they didn't understand, like, what do you mean send energy into his penis? Like, so like, how did that feel for you? To be touched very gently and to have me send energy into your penis.
Yeah, I prefer a gentle touch. I think that's something I've cultivated after getting into Tantra. And Tantra, you get to focus on energy work. And energy work is very subtle. And so I've had to learn to like appreciate the power in the subtlety
Mm.
of sex. And so, yeah, I'm very sensitive. Part of that's because I'm sensitive, but part of it is because of the work I've done tantrically, which allowed me to like really be vulnerable and start to feel. And so I feel very deeply. I'm open to feeling. I don't lose patience,
Yeah.
you know, just because something doesn't feel right immediately. Um, so yeah, so for me it feels great. I prefer the gentle, I prefer the subtle. I think that's more powerful.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, uh, the author of The Jewel and the Lotus, Master Sunyata Saraswati, he talked about sex the way it's done here in the West as masturbatory sex.
Yeah.
So he says a bunch of jerking and rubbing and movement.
Mhm.
And he used to say that's not the right way to have sex. It's really about stillness. And
Mhm.
so, with my tantric studies, I've gotten into that as well. And yeah, I prefer the stillness. It's
Mhm.
much more powerful. Um, but again, I think if you're a man and you've been masturbating a lot, it'll probably take you some time to move into a place where you can be more sensitive. The penis is a unique organ in that it's both very strong, so it's firm in the heart, but it's also very sensitive at the same time, with a lot of nerve endings. And so you have to learn to kind of honor both aspects of what the penis represents, especially when it's on the heart.
Beautiful. So, my next question, there's a lot of men, we know that there's a lot of men that are having sex, um, outside of their marriage, or they're having sex with more than one woman, and they're not telling their wife or their girlfriend that they're having sex with another woman.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Like, why are these men not just saying, hey, look, this is what I'm about. I like multiple women. I enjoy having sex with multiple women. Like, why aren't men just saying that?
Well, one, monogamous culture will make you seem like you're a bad person if you even desire someone other than your wife. So, because you don't want to be labeled as a bad person or evil or a sinner or whatever it is, you just stay away from that conversation. Two, most men they're fearful of their wives
Mm,
in terms of what they might do to them, how they might treat them. There's going to be like a lot of aggressive behavior towards the men from a number of wives if they say that.
mhm,
And there's going to be passive aggressive behavior. There's going to be a lot of arguments. There's going to be a lot of petty stuff. So to avoid that, they don't say it. And, I think another part of it is the culture. So monogamous culture, men are trained to be more beta males and kind of like hide their true nature.
mhm,
So they don't stand firm in who they are and just say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm having sex with all these women. That's all there is to it. So they kind of shy away from their alpha nature. And monogamous culture kind of trains men into a more domesticated beta nature.
yeah.
And so they don't really have the courage to just stand aside their truth.
Mhm,
And then the last reason is because they don't want their wives to have other partners.
mm,
So they pretend to be faithful. They pretend to be monogamous because it would hurt them deeply and emotionally if their
mhm,
wife went out and did the same thing that they were doing.
mhm,
And so
mhm.
those are the main reasons why men lie.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. So that moves us into the next question, which is a lot of men also want to have big dick energy. They want to have the dark masculine energy. They want to have high testosterone, and they want to be able to fully satisfy their woman.
Mhm.
And what many of the men have been saying to me on my page on Instagram is that they have this belief that, okay, if I have big dick energy and I satisfy my woman completely, then she will not want to have sex with anyone else. So is that true or not?
No, it's not true. I mean, it doesn't matter how you perform with your woman sexually. She's still going to have desires outside of you. Doesn't mean that she's going to act on those desires, right? Doesn't mean that she has a high desire all the time for somebody else, like maybe the first 5 years or 10 years or 12 or whatever. She doesn't have major desires outside of you.
Mhm,
But, all human beings have attractions for other people. We're all drawn to other people. It's just kind of how we're set up and how we're designed from a mating perspective. We're designed for variety because that's where intelligence comes from and to guarantee the survival of the species. That we mate with a bunch of different people to increase our genetic,
mhm,
superiority as a human species.
mhm,
So we're always going to be drawn to new people. We're going to be drawn to those who we feel that, we're strong mating partners with. And so, yeah, so I think, you know, it doesn't matter how you are with your woman. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Or how well you perform or how well you think you perform. She's going to have the attractions that she has. So it's separate from you. And so that's a good thing. So men can kind of relax and not worry about the fact that, it's their lack of performance that
mhm,
would cause their woman to be attracted to somebody else.
mhm. Okay. Well, okay. The men still want the woman to be exclusive.
Yep.
Okay. So, uh, okay, you're the type of man that encourages your partners to your female partners to have other partners. Most men cannot comprehend that. So what is the benefit in your female partners, your wife, your girlfriend, me, having other partners? Like, why would a man want that?
Well, first of all, the sex is better. So if my wife or my partners are having sex with other men, it just makes her more sexually powerful. You know what I mean? I know that's a hard thing to explain. It's kind of weird, you know?
Mhm,
If my wife or the women I'm with are not having sex with other men, it kind of dries up our entire sex life to a degree. Um, where if she's sexually active with a number of men, she just becomes this sexually virile woman.
yeah.
And it's kind of like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like going to the gym and working out. You just get up, you get like major workouts, you get all this physical benefit from doing that.
Mhm.
So that's number one. The sex is better, right? Number two is because I live an open lifestyle, so I have multiple partners. I'm not going to be available for my partners in that way. So it's only natural that they find other outlets and find other connections and those types of things because I'm not going to be able to provide, just from a time perspective, what they're looking for. Number three is I'm very one-dimensional when it comes to sex in terms of how I have sex. Like I'm not going to be somebody who pounds you through the headboard. I'm not into like anal sex. I'm not into a lot of different things. So, I know that a lot of my partners are into that stuff. So even though they enjoy sex with me, I still encourage them to get those other needs met, from other men. Other men are going to do the things I don't do, or they're going to do it in a particular way. Their dick size is different than mine, so it's going to please them in a different way. All different types of things. There's so many men out there who have like these great specialties. Some are great at oral. Some like analingus. A lot of men are really good at fingering and yoni massage. You have men who are, they have great stamina. So they'll fuck you for like 3, 4 hours straight. So, I'm not pretending to be all that. You
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? So no, I have my lane. There's things I do well sexually. There's things I don't do great. There's things I'm not interested in doing. So I encourage her and all my partners to go out and get those variety of needs met
Mhm.
from other sources.
Well, men still have an issue with what you're saying. So I'm going to read something that a gentleman said to me. He said, I don't believe there's anything another man can do that within 6 to 12 months I couldn't also do or make massive headway in that direction. Do you see this as delusional thinking? If it comes down to mindset optimization or some technical issues, I don't see how I couldn't replicate the process, especially with dedicated focus. He then went on to say that he realizes that people do have different gifts. So being outplayed in various ways is God's design, so to speak. But in the sexual area specifically, I would want to know what she's truly craving before there's any outsourcing. So he still wants to make sure that, like, look, whatever it is you need sexually, I can give it to you. So what do you say to that?
I think it's great that he has that perspective, but he doesn't understand, mate selection. He doesn't understand the choice paradigm and that women are going to be drawn to certain men because of certain things that they feel. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's not about you learning a skill or whatever and all that. It's not really even about that. She has a primal draw or attraction to certain men for certain reasons. It might not be anything that she even understands or knows about. You know what I mean? So it's not about you learning all these skills. But to address his thing specifically, like, no, there's a lot of things you're not going to be able to do. If you have a 6-inch penis, you can't grow it to 9. If your penis is a certain girth, you can't expand it or shrink it or do whatever. You see what I'm saying? So you're not going to have those skills. Number two, there's a number of things that, if you're just with your woman, that you're not going to really know how to improve upon. Why? Because you're not engaging with other women, so you're not picking up on those skills. So there's a number of things that you don't know what's that she needs. There's a number of things that she doesn't know that she wants that she needs.
Yeah.
And so you can't really predict it. It's not like she's saying, "Oh, I just want a particular skill and can you learn this?" Now, I
Mhm.
do think that people should have communication inside their relationship and figure out what they like. So if a woman wants a certain thing and her man to do a certain thing, then he should learn to do that and vice versa. What I'm trying to help you understand is that that's not going to solve the issue of her having attraction for other men. In the same exact way, it's not going to stop you from being attracted to other women.
Mm.
So again, men take it personally as though it's like something you're not doing,
Yeah.
and that's why she's attracted to other men, and that's not what it's about at all.
Hmm. Yeah. A lot of times it's just an energy thing. It's not even a technique,
No,
you know?
no.
So, um, so I was explaining to my audience that there's a lot of women that are in sexless marriages
Mm.
or that are sexually unsatisfied with their husband. And so many of those women want to get sex outside of their marriage. And to my surprise, most of the men, they would prefer that their wife continue to be unsatisfied for the rest of her life than to allow her to be with another man. Like
Right.
that's how adamant they feel. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, and that reflects back to a man prioritizing his insecurities rather than his wife's pleasure or the love he has for his wife. So if you love your wife truly,
Mm-hmm.
like really, not just in word or whatever, but you actually love her, then you're gonna want her to have, what she feels that she needs for herself. And so instead of you saying, well, I can't have sex anymore because of X, Y, and Z, so therefore she should never have it for the rest of her life. No, you say, let me make sure she has what she needs. That's like true love for your partner. So, these are just men who are insecure,
Yeah.
and these are men who are adhering to monogamous cultural principles around relationships, which is like, if it's not me, then it's nobody. Like again, monogamy, they say you should be your partner's all and everything,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know. Till death do us part, only us
Yeah.
providing. And that's just not realistic. But again, I understand that that's a thing,
Mhm.
and a lot of men think that way, and women think that way too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women who are like, if I can't fuck him, then nobody's going to.
Mhm.
And he just has to die unsatisfied or masturbating.
Yeah.
But some women even get mad at men for
It's-
masturbating
Yeah.
or watching porn. They
Mhm.
consider that cheating. I saw a post
Mhm.
today that said, well, is watching porn cheating? They're saying it's
Mhm.
cheating.
Yeah.
So again, this is very, very selfish,
Yeah.
antiquated, religious-based views on sex that are very toxic.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a mess.
So I'm going to give you an example of this because men are really struggling with this.
Mhm.
Okay. So this was a former married couple client of you and your wives, but that the man in the couple, he was friends with me at the time,
Okay.
and they had opened their marriage. I think
Mhm.
the wife had wanted to open the marriage because she met a dark masculine man and she was enjoying sex with her dark masculine man,
Okay.
and the husband was very sexually insecure.
Okay.
And so, to long story short, one night he had sex with his wife and she squirted for the first time.
Hmm.
To his knowledge, she
Yeah.
squirted for the first time. And he was so happy, told me all about it. He was on top of the world. And then she went and told the women's group that that was not the first time she squirted.
Hmm.
That was the first time she squirted with him,
Yeah.
but she had squirted numerous times with her dark masculine, and she hadn't
Hmm.
told her husband about that.
Yep.
And also, when the reason why she scored it is because she was thinking about her dark masculine while having sex with her husband. But she couldn't tell her husband that because he was so fragile, his ego was so fragile that she couldn't really, like, he was already mad that she was enjoying sex with her dark masculine more than him.
Yeah.
And so they really, really, really struggled with open marriage.
Yeah.
So what do you say to men in that type of scenario where they feel insecure sexually and the thought of their wife enjoying sex with another man more is so painful? Like how do men deal with that?
Well, first of all, I want to point out the fact that she squirted with the husband.
Hmm.
So that's an example of what I told you. When a woman's having sex with multiple men, especially men she's choosing in dark masculine, she's going to be more sexually, empowered and more sexually pleasable and all those types of things.
Hmm.
So the point is she had a squirting orgasm with her husband,
Hmm.
where if she was not having sex with a dark masculine, it never would have happened.
Mm.
Okay. So that's number one, like as the example of how women having sex with multiple men really opens them up and makes them more sexually, pleasing and that type of thing.
Mm.
That's number one. Number two, yeah, I mean, that's a big issue that we have as men in a society, like feeling sexually insignificant and feeling the competition with other men. I mean, that's just kind of how we're raised. So if you're younger, when you're a young boy, you start to see certain men have access to women and sex at an early age.
Mm.
Those are generally men who develop faster.
Yeah.
They hit puberty earlier, or they're already athletes, or they're already tall, or whatever. And we start to feel away because we want access to girls too. You know what I'm saying? So there's an immediate kind of like sexual competition thing that starts to kick in
Yeah.
at a young age. And most boys are losing in that competition. You have a really small percentage of boys in middle school that are really having access to girls, like 5 or 10% of the boys or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's hurtful. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of start growing up with some of these insecurities and there's a lot of this rejection. But the bottom line is it's really about understanding that, hey, you need to continue to work on yourself as a man, continue to practice, sexual practices like tantra and those types of things. continue to work on your masculinity. And you're going to be chosen by women. You're going to have access to sex, and that's just the way it is. And you can't be focused on being number one.
Mm.
You can't be focused on being the only one. That monogamous kind of mindset is very toxic and it's very damaging because you're going to be humbled. That's why so many people have a hard time with infidelities because they become humbled by the fact that, oh, I'm not the only one. I'm not the greatest one. I'm not all these things that the romantic promise of monogamy and the fantasy of monogamy promised me. So, they're hurt by that. And that's why, divorce and that kind of stuff is prevalent because people can't take the fact that you're not the only one. You're not the only one. So you have to get out of that mindset as a man. Um, yeah, and understand that, you're great who you are. There's a number of women who are desirous of you. As long as you continue to work on your skills and your masculinity, and you're going to be fine. But no, your wife's not going to look at you as number one, all the time or hardly at all or whatever. And that's okay. That's normal. Just like you don't look at her as number one all the time or whatever. So it's kind of like re-education, I would say.
It's a tough one, Rakim. I mean, I've had these men cry to me about this. It's not just this guy, but even you know, the husband of one of the women that you were involved with.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, she literally would say to him that, I love Rakim's penis more than yours. Rakim's penis is way bigger than yours. She literally said that to her husband. And he would cry to me like he was crushed
Hmm.
that she greatly preferred having sex with you over him. So, like, what immense, like, how did they move through that? Like, that's
Well,
hard.
first of all, that was a messed up thing for her to say to him.
Mm.
So I don't know. I'm not privy to that conversation, so I
Mhm.
don't know how that was communicated.
Mhm.
But that's one thing that we should really never do is be comparing other lovers to other lovers and partners. Because we are, as a human species, we're very, in the West, in Western culture, we're very sensitive to that.
Yeah.
There's already a lot of comparison. There's already a lot of race, and there's always like, one number one, everybody else is a loser or
Yeah.
whatever. And so you don't want to get into that. So I'm not sure why she said that to him, but she was probably trying to punish him. They're
Mhm.
probably like arguing or going back and
Yeah, they
forth.
had issues.
Yeah, so she's probably, and that's why I tend to not. I've had a lot of women who wanted to be with me sexually or be partners with me, but I felt their relationship or their marriage was too fragile, so I said no to those women. You know what I mean? Even if they were open, I'm
Mm.
like, nah, your situation is too fragile. I don't feel your husband would be in a good place.
Mhm.
For some reason, when women sleep with me or get with me, like it's very triggering for the husband.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I guess, for whatever reason.
Mhm.
So I have to be very careful about who I choose to be in a relationship with. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want women using my name to throw on their husband's face. That's the last thing I want. Like I feel that's completely unnecessary. And it goes both ways. Women do it, throw men in their husband's face, and men throw stuff in their wives' face, you know, and you can't do that. That's a cruel thing to
Yeah.
do. And so, yeah, that adds fuel to the fire of an already toxic situation.
Mhm.
So I don't recommend people do that. I
Mhm.
don't, I'm not into that. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay. So moving on, there's a lot of men that don't know how to hold space for a woman's negative emotions and for uncomfortable shares. Like I prefer having sex with another man. So how can men get better at holding space? Like, do they need to learn up-level communication, or is there something else that they need to do?
Yeah, I think learning up level is a great start. Learning that there's a way to communicate in a particular kind of framework that provides safety and provides a way to make sure everybody gets heard and stuff like that. I think the other part about it is, again, it goes back to the education part,
Mhm.
which is, we have to erase this monogamous cultural education around relationships and sexuality. Right now, people are being told and taught the wrong thing when it comes to relationships.
Mhm.
They think, again, that women don't have high sex drives and are not very desirous. They think body count matters in terms of you being wife material or husband material.
Mhm.
They just have all these toxic beliefs around sexuality and monogamy.
Yeah.
And people need to learn something that's more sane.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think that's really where it
Yeah.
starts. Like, you guys are just courting each other. You're courting. That's why you kind of put your best face on and all that. But the reality is, this is just two human beings who have basically the same kinds of desires and the same kinds of needs and stuff like that. And so we got to stop playing like these roles that we tend to get into to get the partner
Mhm.
are actually real.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, the education is important because how if you're not going to be able to hold space if you think that what your partner is feeling is wrong.
Correct.
If your partner's saying I'm attracted to another man and you think that's wrong, you're not going to hold space.
Correct. Yeah, you're offended.
Mhm.
Rather than knowing and understanding that, no, everybody has other attractions. And and men knowing that women have these other attractions, like I said, this is biological. Like people think that all these animals in the animal kingdom are monogamous, like lions and penguins and stuff. They're not monogamous. They choose a mate for the
For
season
the
or a
speech.
few seasons, and then they switch. The women, the lionesses and the penguins, they choose new men.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's how nature really is. And that's again, that's for genetic survival and the survival of the species, this variety. Like they keep cross mating and cross mating to make sure we get the best of the best and that the genetic impurities are kind of taken out.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole reason. So these are very strong, these are very real feelings that people have and desires that people have.
Yeah.
And so I think the education around that's important because people try to act like they can just ignore that. And you can't just ignore it. Just like
Mhm.
you can't ignore being hungry or you can't ignore, the fact that you want to be lazy instead of working out. Like these are real things. And at least have the conversation around it. That's why I like the term choosing to be exclusive as opposed to monogamous. So I don't feel that people should claim to be monogamous because it's not real. We should instead say, hey, look, I'm choosing to be exclusive with my partner from a sexual standpoint. Because that takes accountability for knowing that this is going to be a challenge. I'm choosing to do it. I'm going to make the effort. We're going to make the effort together to do it, as opposed to it's an automatic thing.
Absolutely. So, okay, so a gentleman was telling me that his girlfriend has children
Hmm.
and she would like him to be a stepfather, and he has no interest in being a stepfather. And he's told her that, and she feels very hurt. And she feels like he's rejecting her in a way because he's not interested. Like he's dating her, but he doesn't want to be a stepfather.
Yeah.
So like, how do men navigate that? Like dating a woman knowing that you don't want to be a stepfather to her children.
Well, I think that's a regular thing. It's no different than a man dating a woman with no children, but not wanting to marry her. He
Mm,
doesn't want to be a husband. He doesn't want her as a wife. He doesn't want to be in a committed situation, but he does like her. He wants to connect with her and have sex and they be friends and cool and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, so just because we're dating doesn't mean that I want to take full responsibility for you, let alone your children.
mm,
You see what I'm saying? Like every relationship is not about full ongoing commitment. Some relationships are about just sex.
mm.
Some are about just sex and friendship and connection. And then others, yeah, are about marriage and full responsibility for you and your children and whatever else you got going on. Some men don't want to be with women because they have a heavy financial burden, like a lot of debt. And women the same way. There's a lot of women who are making a ton of money and they don't want to bring on a man who's got children, who's got a bunch of debt, who's got a bunch of baggage or whatever it might be. So I don't have an issue with that. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you want in the dating pool, I think it's fine. Now, oftentimes what happens is you end up falling in love with somebody and they have whatever they have and it's just okay. The example I'll give you that I experienced was with Kenya, me and Kenya.
Okay.
So before I met Kenya, I just said to myself, I'm not going to date a woman who smokes.
Mm.
But Kenya smoked.
Oh.
It was like natural cigarettes and stuff like that, but she still smoked. But I still dated her because of how I felt about her.
Mm.
So I relaxed that particular principle or protocol that I had so I can be with her. So that's just, it depends on the person and where you are in your life in terms of what you're going to do.
So is it okay for a woman, like a single mom, to date a man that she knows has no interest in being a stepdad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's up to her.
Mhm.
Now, some women say, well, I'm dating with a purpose and I only want to be with a man who's going to marry me and take care of my kids. And she should find that out pretty early on if the man she's with is interested in that.
Okay.
And if he is, then they can move forward. If not, then she should move on.
Okay. So another thing that some of the men have told me is that um, A woman might say, okay, I accept the fact that you're poly. I know that you're a polyamorous man.
Hmm.
But then later in the relationship, whether, 2 years later, 3 years later, whatever, she switches gears and she decides, you know what? In fact, a man just told me about this the other day. His girlfriend, she knew he was poly. She
Hmm.
accepted that. And then like 2 years in, she decides, you know what? I don't want to do poly. I want us to be monogamous.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
So what do men do in that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, you have to make a decision at that moment. Do I want to continue to be with her and be monogamous with her? Or do I want to be with her and be at odds with her about my lifestyle versus what she wants? Or do I want to just move on to something else? Like you have to, that's what happens in relationships. Like things come up, people change on you. Now, sometimes people always knew that they were going to change on you. They were like, yeah, I'll act like I'm going to
Oh,
be with him and accept
okay.
polyamory. But
Okay.
in reality, they had no intention on doing that for the long term. I think you had mentioned to me before how a lot of men believe that they can turn a woman
Oh,
monogamous. I'll show you after a while, and being with a really good man like me, eventually you're going to drop that poly stuff and just be mono. Like people actually believe that.
yeah.
So, and maybe sometimes that works. I'm not here to judge that, but I think in the moment you've got to choose what are you going to do? Are
Mm,
you going to stay with this person and be monogamous now? Or are
yeah.
you going to stay with them and have a battle for the rest of the relationship where she's trying to get you to be mono and you're trying to fight for your poly? Or do you move on?
Mm, tough decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I learned the other day, I was on a call with a man who is a swinger. He's married, and he was saying he has a girlfriend who is choosing him as a dark masculine.
Mhm.
And to my surprise, he didn't understand what the purpose of sex between a dark feminine and a dark masculine is. Like he didn't know. Because I asked him, like, what are you thinking about when you're having sex with her? And he was like, oh, I'm just thinking, like, why is she sucking me this way? Why is she doing this? Like he's doing these mental calculations in his head.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, why aren't you thinking about your financial objective or your career objective? And it was like a light bulb went on for him
Hmm.
because he had no idea that the sex is he says sex magic, but yeah, the sex between a dark masculine and a dark feminine is supposed to produce results.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be intentional. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. I mean, we teach in our two tantra the purpose of sex is healing and manifestation. So either you're using the energy of sex to heal your body and heal your mind and your heart, or you're using it to manifest reality. And so a lot of people just aren't aware of that sex can be used in that way. So they kind of waste the energy
Yeah.
on purely pleasure, which is fine. Pleasure is great too.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you said, when the dark feminine and dark masculine come together, one of the ways to really maximize that energy is to use it to manifest. But I think some of that takes awareness and some of it takes training
Mhm.
for people to really be able to get into that. And also, people need to know, are they a dark feminine, are they a dark masculine?
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think that needs to be something that's taught as well.
Okay. So, what a lot of men who are being womb chosen or who are dark masculine and they have multiple women, all a lot of them say to me is that their relationships don't last more than 1 to 2 years max.
Yeah.
So why is that?
I think a lot of the dark masculine, dark feminine relationships are very volatile and very crazy, you know? And the biggest thing is like usually a woman trying to make a dark masculine man a husband and trying to domesticate him and try to keep him from having sex with other women and stuff like that. And it's just like fights and arguments and volatility and craziness all over the place and toxicity. I think eventually people do get tired of that, even though a lot of these dark masculine men are used to it. But they just get tired of it. Plus, they have other options. And so they just end up moving on to somebody else. I think that happens too with the dark feminine. Eventually she just moves on to somebody else and she doesn't feel that she's getting what she wants and needs from her dark masculine.
Mhm.
So I think that's probably a big part
Okay,
of it.
yeah. So another man was asking me, what are the levels to dark masculine energy? Because he was like, it seems like there's levels to this. So what would you say are the levels to being a strong dark masculine man?
Yeah, I had that written down. And I don't have it in front of me and I don't remember exactly, but I had like five different levels. Um, where one is like transmuting pain. If you can transmute pain and turn it into power, then that's like the top level of dark masculinity and
Mhm.
some other things. I don't have it in front of me,
Okay.
but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Can't
Mhm.
remember it.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So, but if they want to learn the levels of dark masculinity, they could come to you and you'd have a curriculum prepared.
Yeah, I have a course. I forget which workshop it was, one or two, but I broke that down in one of the dark feminine
Oh yeah,
workshops.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I had it where I said, well, this is what a dark feminine, at the top levels, a five is, and a four, and a three, and a two, and a one. The same thing with a dark masculine man. So yeah, they can come to me, and I will be, happy to help them to kind of
Okay.
sort that out.
Okay. So there was a man that said to me that even when because he was reading my post about, I was saying to the men, you should let your women have other men
Mhm.
for the sake of sanity. And he said to me that even when he advises his women to be with other men or his woman to be with other men,
Mhm.
she absolutely refuses to do so. So what
Yeah.
should men do when the woman refuses to date other men?
Oftentimes, when that's the case, it's because she doesn't believe him. She doesn't believe that he's really open to her being with somebody else. She doesn't trust it. So it's either that or it's that she's just not ready. She doesn't feel comfortable doing it for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Or it could be that she just doesn't want to do it at this time, that she's
Mhm.
probably going to do it in the future, but at this time, she doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it depends on their relationship and their connection.
Mhm.
Um, some women would just rather just cheat on the low.
Hmm.
They'd rather like, you know what, I don't want my husband involved in who else I connect with sexually. Because he's going to be trying to be controlling or it's going to be a bunch of drama or pettiness or whatever. Let me just go ahead and connect with the man I want to connect with on the low. That's what people do in monogamy.
Mhm.
So in monogamy, they just cheat on each other
Yeah.
and they do it on the low. So they don't bring their spouse into whatever they have going on and have to deal with all of that.
Mhm.
So it might be something like that with her.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a thing for us. You've been encouraging me for years to have other men. And I like the way you handled it with me because with me, you've just repeatedly made it clear, look, if you're choosing to be exclusive to me, these are going to be the consequences, and you have to take responsibility for that. Like, you're not going to have all the access to me that you want to have just because you're choosing to be exclusive to me. So I think if the men say to the women, like, fine, if you're going to insist on being exclusive, that's fine, but don't come complaining to me when you're not getting your needs met.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of women and people, they do the exclusive thing as a way to get benefits from their partner.
Mm.
Be the goody two shoes and all that kind of stuff and therefore get more access and get all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, my thing with you and anybody I'm dating is like as long as you realize that that doesn't buy you anything with me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you extra time because of that. I'm not going to give you extra consideration because of that. You're going to end up going without where my other partners, they have other partners, and therefore it doesn't seem like as long a time when they're not with me because they're getting needs met. So as long as you're cool with that, then yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. And this same man, he said to me that the woman he's dealing with, like he actually put a restraining order on her and she violated the restraining order. So,
Mm.
so what does a man do when he's dealing with a woman that just like she just won't stop? She keeps showing up at your house, she keeps showing up at your work, you call the police, and she still won't stop. Like, what then?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, you were kind of like that. You
You
know,
put a restraining order on me though.
yeah, I didn't need to, but you were just relentless.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, some people are just crazy as fuck. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it just is what it is. I think that's a case by case basis.
Mm.
Um, restraining orders are known to not really work when it comes to crazy motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? They'll just violate it, and the cops aren't going to be there in the moment they violate it, so there's nothing stopping them. Um, but yeah, all you can do is, you want to build your tribe, build your people, your community around you. That's how, you make sure you have protection. And, you have to work on defending yourself. If you engage with somebody who's crazy as hell, then you got to understand there's going to be certain consequences with that, and which could be down the line. And so you got to be okay dealing with that. And that's why you want to make sure you choose and vet people properly before you start dating them, because, you're going to end up being stuck with them in one way or the other
Mm.
for a long time.
Another woman said to me the other day too that a woman she pulled a knife on him.
Hmm.
Like, or she'll slash your tires or,
Oh yeah.
smash your windshield. So it's wild out there.
Yeah, there's a narrative that women are not as violent as men. And that's just not true. Like human beings are violent. And so, yeah, a woman she'll kill you or she'll cut you up. There's so many examples of women being violent to men. There's so many examples of women being violent to each other in lesbian
Mm.
relationships.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, I think that's the highest. domestic violence rate is women on women relationships is higher than heterosexual.
Hmm.
So yeah, like human beings are violent.
Mm.
They'll pull out a knife, they'll kill you, they'll fight you, they'll hurt your people, they'll do things like that. So
They'll light your house on fire.
they'll do all kind of stuff. You know, there was a woman, I don't know if it was real, but she was talking about all the things that she did to her ex to kind of get him back, and she was just a nightmare.
Mm.
So yeah, you have to be mindful. Sometimes you have to go to war and say, okay, I gotta face this head on and deal with it.
Mhm. Another thing too that he said is that she got in the way of him connecting with other women. So
Yeah,
anytime he tried to date other women, like she would fuck shit up, you know?
yeah,
So like what do you say to when you're dealing with it? Because you even said that to me that I messed up some of your relationships in the past. So like
yeah, yeah. I
what
mean,
does a man do in that scenario?
well, it's just again, you made certain choices to be with this person. You're going to take the fact that certain women are not going to fuck with you because you are with this person. And I get that. I'm like that too. Like I look at certain women, I'm saying, you fuck with him, I'm not fucking with you.
Mhm.
Because he's a fucking nut or he's crazy as hell or he's unstable or he's not the kind of man vibrationally I would want to be even connected to through you in
Mhm.
any way, shape, or form, even though he's an ex. So yeah, I get it. Like I'm not just dating anybody who has been with someone who I have very low um respect for
Mhm.
or think that they're a nut.
Mhm.
So I don't have any issue with that at all.
Mhm. Okay. So, somebody asked you this, I think it was on your page, because you had recently put a reel about how, yes, it was hard for you when your wife started having sex with another man who was
Mhm.
fucking her better than you.
Mhm.
But what was that like for you emotionally? How'd you go from like, I want to kill this motherfucker, I hate him, to like total peace and acceptance that he's fucking your wife?
Well, I never had a thing about wanting to kill him. It's, again, it's just insecurity. So you feel insecure about who you are as a man. And so you have to deal with that. You got to face it. Why am I insecure? Why do I have these feelings? And so, you feel a lack of worthiness and you have a certain level of confusion about your place and your wife's life and all those. So those are the feelings that come up. All that kind of stuff, the jealousies, all that. And then again, you have to figure out why you feel that way and you got to deal with that and confront that directly. And usually the reason why you feel that way is because of, you're scared to step into your greatness, you're scared to step up your game. You're concerned about somebody loving you and taking your woman and all those types of things. And you just have to deal with that head on.
Mhm. And you've become so much stronger as a result, Rakim. I mean, your big dick energy is incredible.
Yeah.
So a lot of women were triggered by a reel that you put out recently where you did say that women and men are equally abusive.
Hmm.
And some of the women were saying, well, that's not true because based on the stats, it's men that are unaliving their girlfriends and wives. It's men that are physically beating their girlfriends and wives. So how could you possibly say that men and women are equally abusive?
Yeah, that reel is triggering. To say something like that is triggering. So again, we're in the age of personal empowerment and women's empowerment. And so a lot of women still have a hard time just realizing that, hey, you're not an inferior being to men. You're just as powerful as a man. You're just as strong as a man. And you're just as capable of doing all the fucked up things that men do, right? That's why I like watching, some of the news that comes out in terms of women in business and how they fuck over other women. Not because I think that's a good thing, but I just want, when a woman's given power, you see her true nature.
Mhm.
Just like when a man's given power, you see his true nature, right? And so that's what's happening. So here's the thing with the violence thing. Again, human beings are violent, all human beings equally, men and women. You're not going to see women as violent towards men to the same degree as men towards women because men are more overtly, externally, physically stronger than a woman. So women are not stupid. They're not going to just start confronting a bunch of men. Now you see some women doing that, but
Yeah.
women don't confront men. So what do women do? They choose to be violent in a different way, right? They do it in subtle ways. They do it in roundabout ways. Jordan Peterson, the famous professor out of Toronto, University of Toronto, he said the way women use violence is they use gossip, innuendo, and reputation destruction.
Mm.
Just like you said, that woman who's destroying that guy's life and won't let him date anybody else. Like, so women are violent in that way.
Mhm.
Women are also violent towards each other because they see themselves as either equally strong to other women or stronger than other women. So they will attack those women. Again, I've seen a lot of that in women on women relationships. And then they tend to be more violent towards children.
Yeah.
So you see the violence play out in different ways. I'm not saying that women are beating up and killing men to the same degree that men are beating up and killing women. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the amount of women violence on other human beings is equal to the amount of, men
Well,
violence.
you use the term abuse, and so a lot of women are
Abuse, yes.
verbally abusive to
Absolutely.
men.
Verbally abusive, emotionally abusive. Absolutely. Even like with some of the dating practices you see out there, like that stuff's abusive out the gate. Like you see women online all the time, they're calling men broke, they're calling men gay, like they're constantly attacking men.
Horrible.
That is abuse, right? You can call it whatever you want, you can justify it any way you want. That is abuse. And that's what I'm really referring to. I'm saying women are just as abusive as men. Again, sometimes that's physical abuse, sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's emotional, psychological.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, here's something that I read by a woman recently, and she said men that manipulate women into having sex by faking that they are invested in a relationship are essentially rapists in my book. Dating apps are not a free escort service. So what are your thoughts on that, Raquel?
I think that's crazy as well. She needs to get some support and some help. Put it out there.
But agreed with her
Yeah, of
that
course.
men are pretending to want a committed relationship just so they can have sex.
Right. In the same way that a lot of women are pretending to like a man just so they can get marriage, you
Get the
know,
money.
and get the money. And a year later, look at Tyrese. What, two or three women have married him and then a year later divorced him. So you see a lot of that happen. A lot of women marry a man who's got money and then a year later divorce. Yes, that happens. People do lie, they do fake, they get into relationships for their own selfish reasons, not because they love the person, not because they're trying to build, and they're utilizing the relationship to get the marriage or get the wedding or get the money or whatever it is, and that's just how it is. So yes, men do that to women, women do it to men. Yes.
I was amazed that this is even a phenomena because there were so many women agreeing and saying that, yes, this man that I was dating or whatever, he told me everything I wanted to hear. He said he wanted commitment. We had sex, and then he ghosted.
Yeah, and that's a part of monogamous culture. Monogamous culture says, I can't just tell everyone I want to have sex, right? So I got to pretend that I like you so I can get sex. But that's a part of the monogamous culture because monogamous culture tries to demonize sex,
Mm.
right? And say, well, if I'm a woman, I just have sex, then now my body count's higher. Now that lowers my market value in the dating world. And so people have to lie and sneak and all that kind of stuff. And that's just what the culture is. That's what monogamy does, right? So people are sneaking, they're lying. Even when they get married, they're sneaking and lying inside the marriage.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's monogamous culture.
Mm.
You have to put on a fake face and lie to your partner so you can get this thing over here, or at least people think they do. And it just creates a really rough environment.
Okay, so here's some advice that women were being given by a very popular coach to avoid, being tricked by men.
Hmm.
Um, and so the first thing that she said is don't tell him what you're looking for in a relationship. Because if you tell him that you're looking for commitment and marriage and all that, then he's going to pretend that he wants those things so he can have sex with you. So don't tell him what you want, just observe him and see where it goes. So what do you think of that advice?
I think it's fine. I mean, it can get a little sticky, but yeah, if you don't want to tell them exactly what you're looking for, I think it's fine. I think there's better ways to go around, vetting men than to do that, but I think it's fine. I don't have an issue with that.
Okay. So do you think that women should be afraid of men pretending to want commitment just to have sex? Like, is that something women should fear?
Yeah, I think that's a real thing. I think just in the dating world,
Mhm.
there's going to be people who are pretending to like you or to want a particular thing from you to get something else. So again, in the same way that men need to fear women who are going to use them for their money or use them to get a meal on a date or use them for marriage because they want the wedding but not love them. Yes, women need to fear men who just want to use them for sex or whatever, whatever. So these are common things that you see in the monogamous dating world.
So have you ever said to a woman, I want to be in a committed relationship with you just so you could sleep with her?
No.
Okay.
But, that is a thing though, so the man did give her, for example, the committed relationship, right? So in many cases, the men will say, I will be in a committed situation with you. And he does do that.
For the time period that it takes to get the pussy.
Well, no, men will go beyond that.
Okay.
And women will too. They'll go beyond that. They'll be with them for 6 months, a year, 2 years, because they have to have access to the sex and all that. But in the meantime, they are also showing up as a committed partner. They're giving money, they're paying the bills, and they're doing all these things, taking the step kid. You know what I'm saying? They're doing all the things, but they're also getting access to the sex, which is what they primarily want. And that's a part of the monogamous culture as well. Sometimes you're going to say, well, I'll be committed and I'll do all the things. And if it works out, it does, but I'm not counting on it working out. And I'll exit whenever I'm ready to exit.
Mm,
That's the thing that happens as well.
mm,
Absolutely.
mm.
A lot of women do that too. A lot of women do that because they need a place to stay. You know what I'm saying? So they'll get into a relationship with a man because they need a place to stay,
Mm.
or they need resources, or they need coverage, or they need something like that. So they will get into a committed situation, tell the man all the things he wants to hear, et cetera, et cetera. And then once she gets her stuff stable or finds another man to take over, she'll leave him and go with somebody else. So again, this is more of the culture. I know that women that you're talking about like to focus on the men, but what I like to do is bring balance to the conversation. Say, no, both women and men do this. This is human nature inside of a monogamous cultural narrative.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on women deciding to go ahead and have sex just because the man said, I'm going to commit to you?
Yeah, I think she shouldn't say it because of that.
Okay.
I mean, she shouldn't have sex because of that. She should have sex because it's what she wants to do.
That's what
And you're the one that speaks out on
yeah,
that very vocally.
yeah.
You tell women have sex because you want to have sex. It doesn't really matter what the man's talking about. Like live inside your authenticity.
Mm,
So if you like the man and you want to have sex with him, then have sex with him. You should not have sex with somebody with the expectation that it means more than the sex,
mm,
that it means you're going to commit to me or whatever. That doesn't make any sense. That's where you get into manipulation.
yeah.
Like, oh, I'll give him sex so he commits to me, or that he likes me or chooses me or whatever. That's manipulation. No, have sex with him because you want to have sex with him. Same thing with the men. Like, have sex with her because you want. Like, a lot of men are not having sex with women because they don't feel the authentic connection or authentic desire to do so.
Mm.
And so that's a good thing.
So the second advice that she gave so that women don't get tricked by men
Hmm.
is don't give him any information about your previous relationships. Just tell him that, all men treat me like queens. And if he asks you why you broke up, why you're not with a man, just say that, our values differed and so we went our separate ways. But don't give him any information because if the more information you give him, he's going to use that information to deceive you.
Well, I agree with that. I think women in general shouldn't be given too much information about their history to anybody, especially somebody you don't really know like that. So why are you giving all this information about your dating life and your sex life and all that? Like, why? What's the reason for doing that? I don't feel you should.
Mhm.
I also agree men shouldn't do that.
Mm.
So, that's your business. Now, if you feel close enough to somebody where you want to open and share, that's fine. But no, you shouldn't be talking about your previous relationships, your dating life, or any of that kind of stuff. Why? There's literally no reason to do that.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Could it be used against you? Sure. Like anything can be used against you. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, there's no reason to do it. Usually people are doing it because they're trying to leverage it in some kind of way. Like, well, he hurt me and he's a bad guy. I'm looking for a good guy. Like, whatever, whatever.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? The point is this. The point is that, share what you're comfortable sharing. Um, we know why you're not in a relationship already because you're not good at relationships.
Hmm.
Period.
Okay.
Because you chose the wrong woman or man, because you don't know how to communicate, because you're dysfunctional, because you're probably toxic. Like we know that's probably what it is, especially when you're at a certain age.
Okay.
So it's not like it's not like anybody on the dating market really needs your explanation anyway.
Hmm.
We know why you're not with somebody. It's not because you were this angel who got fucked over. No, you and your toxic partner were both toxic and it wouldn't work out. and now you're single,
Mhm.
or you've been perpetually single, not able to work it out or whatever. Like we know why. So that's why the vetting process is important.
Mhm.
So no matter who you're with, no matter who you get with, you got to vet that person and see, do I like this person? If you do, then you start asking the tougher questions. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, what's your history in terms of therapy? What's your history in terms of, marital and stuff like that? And the person can either choose to say what it is or not.
Okay, so when you're dating a woman for the first time, like how long do you wait before you start inquiring about her previous relationships?
I don't really get into that, to be honest. I don't care about her previous relationships. Like
Okay.
I'm looking at her
Okay.
and how she functions and what she says and how she moves, and that tells me about her previous relationships right there. You
Okay.
understand?
Okay.
Like I already know. Like I'm looking at you. I'm looking at your character. I know exactly how you showed up in previous relationships.
Okay.
I know if you were crazy as hell. I know if you were, lack communication, you lack conflict resolution skills. Like I know all that already just by being around you. So for me personally, you can say whatever you want. Because first of all, whatever you tell me is going to be slanted towards your favor.
Mhm.
So whatever you say, I got to add something to it to balance it out anyway.
Yeah.
Like when we say, yeah, he was abusive, he was a cheater, like whatever. You're saying like, okay. You see what I'm saying? You
Uh-huh.
chose to be with this dude. You didn't know anything about his character like that? Oh, so you're a bad judge of character. Or you're a bad vetter of people.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Or you're naive. Or you're ignorant when it comes to who a man is and who a woman is and what relationships are. Okay. So whatever, it doesn't matter what you say, like everything is clear and upfront. Now, some people do choose to ignore what they see in front of them because they're looking for the best or hoping for the best or whatever. I don't do that. I know exactly who you are. I know what it is. I know why you're single. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. So
Just
you're
like I know why you're
okay.
married.
Okay.
So women I date are married. I know why you're married. Like I see that quality within you in
Uh-huh.
terms of why you're married.
Okay.
Like why a man has one chosen to be with you, why you continue to be in the relationship, why what you bring to it. That's very, very clear to me.
Okay. So you're saying even if a woman does not tell you about her skeletons, you can still sense it. You can still pick it up.
Yeah, because first of all, we all have skeletons. So those pretending to not have skeletons, that's a red flag that I can see right away. But we all have skeletons. Okay, that's number one. So all I'm doing is I'm looking at your character and how you move in the world to determine what those skeletons are. Because I can extrapolate and interpolate your skeletons based on your current character. You see what I'm saying? Just stand up to scratch my leg.
Okay.
Ooh. All right.
Okay, so wow, that was really deep. Okay. So, okay, so going back to the previous question though, you said that the woman doesn't have to say what she's looking for. So if you're dating a woman for the first time and she's just being vague, she's not telling you what she's looking for, you're totally cool with that?
I don't care what she's looking for.
You don't care what she's looking for?
Why would I care what she's looking for?
Well,
I care what I'm looking for.
oh,
And she's
okay.
either going to give that to me or she's not. If she's not, I cut her loose. If she is, we continue to move forward.
Okay.
I don't even need to hear what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm looking for,
Okay.
and I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I don't have a reason to hide or to fake or any of that kind of bullshit that these women are talking about. You see what I'm saying? I'll tell you exactly what. When you go to my dating profiles, the first word on there is married. The second words are open relator. I'm not hiding shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, here's
Okay.
who I am. Take it
Okay.
or leave it. You can get to know me more and find out more about me.
Okay.
I'm not faking anything. I'm not hiding or covering up anything to make you feel better, to throw you off or whatever. You see what I'm saying? This is the information age. We can basically find out whatever we need to find out about somebody. People are pulling reports on people. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's not even, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But again, really the focus should be you showing up inside your mastery as a man or woman.
Okay. So you communicate what you're looking for.
Yeah, I know what I'm looking for. I communicate it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. You're just upfront from the beginning. I
Yep.
like that about you. That's dark masculine. You're just
Yeah, I don't
upfront.
care what she's looking for.
Okay. Amazing.
I let her know what I'm looking for, and she can tell me if she's down to do that. Because a lot of times a woman will say, "I'm looking for X, Y, and Z,"
Mhm.
but she doesn't know what other options there are. I might say something to her like, "Well, here's an opportunity for you. I know you're looking for a monogamous husband, but you can be with me under these circumstances." She might want to be that. Be with me under those circumstances.
Mhm.
but never knew that that was a possibility because she hasn't been presented with that information before.
Mm,
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Okay. She didn't know she could be with a man like you who was
Correct.
married and
Correct.
have multiple partners.
And multiple partners
Okay.
and, big energy and, do all the things.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's all the questions I
That's all you
have.
had?
That's it. That's
I
all.
just got comforted now. I thought you had more going
I mean, I
on.
could make up more, but those are all the ones I had written down.
Didn't you have one around? Did you have one around Dr. Umar?
We talked about that the
We were
other day.
talking about that one?
But
Oh,
he
yeah, yeah.
he
We
was
talked
saying
about
that yeah, polyamory is BS. It's only polygyny or monogamy.
Yeah, yeah.
And he already said he's full of shit because
Yeah,
he's not
yeah.
married.
I
So
answered
who the
that
fuck
one.
is he? But yeah, like okay. But like what's amazing to me though is that there's still like there's so many women that have that same concern that men are going to trick me into having sex. And like just like that mindset is just I'm stunned by that women even believe that a man could trick you
Well, why don't you
into
explain? Because you
having
got a good
sex.
perspective on it. Like, so for women who are concerned about that, what
Mhm.
advice or perspective would you give them?
Well, what I've said on my page is, like you said, that do you want to have sex with this man?
Hmm.
Does your body want to have sex with this man? Do you want to receive him? And how do you want to receive? Do you have a primal attraction to him?
Hmm.
Do you have a financial attraction to him? Do you have a emotional, heart-centered attraction to him? Is it up here, third eye crown? Like, how are you attracted to him? How are you receiving him? What about him is turning you on, if anything?
Hmm.
And once you realize, okay, I'm turned on because of this, or I'm turned on because of that, then communicate that with him.
Yeah.
Let him know, like, this is what excites me about you. This is what turns me on about you. And I want to experience more of this with you. I want to have this kind of sex with you. This is what I enjoy with you. But like, I don't hear the women saying that. They're saying like, well, he convinced me that he wants a commitment. So now I'm going to go ahead and have sex with him. And what's this? And so like what's happening is like a lot of coaches are telling women like you shouldn't be giving your sacred yoni to a man unless he confirms to you that he's going to commit to you.
Absolutely.
And so women are trying to abide by that. And so they're in their head, like, okay, is he committed yet? Is he committed yet? Oh, he's committed now. Okay, now I can fuck him. That's crazy to me.
That is crazy. Yeah, I just feel like what you're saying is right on point. You decide if you want to have sex with him, you let him know what you're looking for, what you like in him. But here's the thing also, you know, rejection and letdown are a part of life and the dating process. You're going to get rejected sometimes. Sometimes you're going to get ghosted. Like sometimes things aren't going to work out. It's okay. Like you're not going to be able to avoid that 100%.
Okay.
But I think what you're saying is important. Like be authentic about who you are, what you want, and kind of move that way. And there's going to be men who are going to love you and like you for exactly who you are, and are going to want to be with you.
And also like you can attract a man who wants to commit to you. And this has happened to me, like, with one of my previous relationships where I had the commitment and he was a great guy. And I thought, okay, we could probably even get married. And then when we had sex, the sex was terrible.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh shit, like now we're in a committed relationship, but I don't even want to sleep with him ever again.
yeah, yeah. I think it's in Iceland where they sleep together first to make sure there's even a sexual connection before they even talk about commitment.
Hmm.
So how it goes the opposite way here.
Yeah.
But like, no, they're like, no, we're not committing to anybody until we know there's at least a sexual connection. If there's a sexual connection, that means that, yeah, we can talk about the other possible connections too. So that's absolutely important.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
well,
like that.
that's it, Rockham. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Rosie. Good job. There you go.